Hello everyone, this is Mirko Guerrini and I welcome you to the Jazz Transcription Clinic, a monthly interviews podcast where we talk with accomplished jazz doctors about their lives, career and their personal secrets on the art of transcribing. If you want to improve at jazz, stay tuned and follow the Jazz Transcription Clinic on the socials for more content. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast is being recorded. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the Aboriginal Elders of other communities who may be here today. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jazz Transcription Clinic Podcast. Today we are celebrating 1 year of podcast episodes. Yes, at the end of June 2021, I released the first episode, which was an interview with Claudio Giovagnoli, a fantastic Italian saxophone player, and many other interviews have been released, and then I started a new series of podcasts with like myself transcribing live or analyzing solos of the great jazz masters. And so today I decided to celebrate this year of podcasts, not with an interview, but giving out 5 transcribing tips that I'm always using when I transcribe. So I thought of being helpful, and you can take those tips on board, or you can comment, you can of course maybe after you subscribe to my channel, and you can comment and you can give me your tips and we can discuss. It will be great to share some knowledge there with you. So without any further ado, let's dive into the first transcription tip, which is we need to learn the intervals. So we really need to know how an interval sound, and to do that, there are many strategies. YouTube is full of videos of people teaching you how to learn the intervals. Personally, my best preference is to link or associate one interval to a song. So I have one song for each interval, even the weird ones like the tritone. I have before the Simpsons era, I had Lenny Bernstein Maria, song from West Side Story, which starts on. But then the Simpsons came out and the Simpsons. So you can do that, and if you are able to stack that sound of the interval in your head, in your memory, and you can pull out da 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 the interval, and you know that this is a tritone. The good news is that the intervals always sound the same. A tritone will always sound as a tritone. Doesn't matter where you play it. Yes, maybe the shade of the sound will change a little bit, but right. So I always hear the Simpson or Maria or that interval. I have other funny songs like for example, for the perfect fourth, for example, now that I'm living here in Australia and I became an Australian citizen, I became familiar with the Australian anthem, which opens with a perfect four. But before I became an Australian, I use the opening of the Aida March. If you want to stick to jazz songs, I'm pretty sure there is a jazz song for each interval. For a perfect fourth, uh, like When I Fall in Love, or that's a monk tune, etc., etc. So learn those intervals. Try to find a song that you know very well and that works for you, and memorize the kind of interval. That's the first tip that I wanted to give you. And the second tip is, excuse me, to learn the sound of your instrument. What does it mean? It means that if you become very, very familiar with how your instruments sound, then you will have less and less need of having your instrument with you to transcribe. Because if you transcribe a solo played on your main instrument, you will become familiar with how the G note sound, how the C sharp sound on your instrument. And there are some exercises that I still do to familiarize with the sound of my instrument. One of my favorite is to sing something and try to replicate. Or if you have never done it, you can start with the other way around. So you first play like a very simple pattern, like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 on a major scale. And then you sing the same thing that you just played, but moving the fingers accordingly. So do 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 do, and please don't sing the notes. Don't use solfa. Don't do fa sol la sol or F G A, because those sounds are just sounds, and we need to memorize the sound. We need to know where those sounds are on our instrument and which finger produces that sound, which is not a note. We know that, for example, for tenor saxophone is a big lie. I think F, but I actually play a concert E flat. So I don't want to get stuck into the theory. I just want to grab the sound of it. So ba do di do da, and then you can check. And you can go up in the scale. Do da di da do. Do 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 do. Da 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 bo do ba da bo do bo do. If you do that a lot, you will become able to hear things in your head and transfer the instructions to your hand in no time. Ba bo do ba do ba do ba do ba do bo do. Ba bo do ba do ba ba do bo do ba bo do bo. And then you can start giving some swing articulation. You can start playing a sort of line. But even if you play a scale with a swing articulation, do ba do ba do ba do ba do. Bo do ba do ba do ba do ba do. Ba di ba do ba do ba do ba do. Ba ba bo do ba do ba do. Right? And you start hearing things in your head, and you know exactly how to produce that sound. Di do do ba do ba do. Ba ba do ba ba do ba ba do. Di do 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 de bo di do. Bo do ba 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 do ba. Ba ba do ba do. Etc. etc. And you can go on. And then the evolution of this exercise is that I start playing an air saxophone. So ba 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 do ba do ba do ba ba do ba do ba do do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba dee do do ba 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 da ba do ba do ba do bo. Right? I always know what is the sound of my fingers on the instrument. And that removes, especially for us saxophone players, we can fall into the trap of having one key for each note, and we still think this is B. But I want to have a sound for this. D, D, D. I don't care how I call it. I can call it Janine. D, 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 Janine, Janine, Janine. Da da da, Bob, da da, Bob, Janine, Bob, right? So I learned the sound of my instrument, and when I hear something played on my instrument, I will have a very easy life to transcribe, because I can hear ba ba do bo dee ba and ba ba do ba dee bo do ba do do. Right? So I hear something and I listen to one line like 3-4 times till I get the sound of it, and then once I have the sound, I know how to pull out that sound on my instrument. So that was the second tip for your transcription art. Let's move into the third one, which is sing. As you notice, I sing a lot after I play or before I play. I try to connect the notes, the sounds in my head. And there is a general rule that we can apply into everything that we do with music, which is if you can sing it, you can play it. Because it means that you are aware of the sound of that line or that pattern, that solo, that phrase, that melody. If you can sing it, and we are not talking about sing it in a lovely way. I think I have a horrible voice, but I don't care because I'm practicing and I'm working towards a different matter. So I like to sing. I like to sing everything that I hear back, and especially when I transcribe solos, you remember I can learn and memorize solos, and then I can sing it. I can provide examples of that, or maybe I will do a podcast episode on this. But for example, the famous Dexter Gordon solo on Blue Bossa. You remember how it starts. Whip 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 ba do booty do ba boo ba boo ba boo boo ba do etc etc. And if I can sing it, and I hope you notice, but when I sing do dee bo dee bo do ba, because this is the sound I hear, and with the voice is quite easy to replicate. And then I have to work on the saxophone on ba ba, on how to reproduce that Dexter Gordon effect, or right? So sing everything that you want to learn. Sing every line in a solo, sing a melody, learn from the singers. Learn from Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Betty Carter. Learn the melodies from those great singers. And that's the third tip that I want to share with you today. Remember to subscribe to my channel. we are heading to the fourth tip, which is start with something easy, something that you can achieve. Start with an easy solo or even just a melody. Because you don't want to feel that it's an impossible task to complete. You want to feel that you are improving, and you start with something simple that you can achieve. Of course, the first solos will take you a long time and you will make possibly many mistakes, but that's the process of learning, isn't it? We make a mistake, we understand what we did wrong, and we fix it. So that's really important. Start with something easy. On my channel there are transcriptions that I made that are not too difficult, like I can remember, for example, Splanky, the solo on Splanky. Right? It's a solo on a blues and it's very doable. Usually I use that with my students to start transcribing. If that is too difficult, it means that you still have to work on the first tips that I gave you. So like memorize the intervals and also memorize the sound of some rhythms. Know whether it's quavers or triplets. The sound of the triplet is always unique. Triplet, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So learn all those things as a sound. And then if you start even with a melody, start with the melody of Splanky. Right? Something very easy. Something that you get to the end and you can play it and you feel good because you were able to transcribe. Don't start with a solo that will set you off. Don't start with a solo by, I don't know, a very fast solo by John Coltrane or Charlie Parker. Start with something that you can see the end of, and you can do it. There are plenty of stuff out there for your instrument. And as I said, is it too hard, that solo? Start with a melody. Start with 4 bars. Try to get just a little bit of it and get accuracy when you do it. And the last tip I want to end this episode is to never give up. Don't give up. Transcribing is a hard job. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of time. But when we do it, we learn a lot in terms of like ear training. We dive into music and we learn things as a sound, as a sonic experience. That's the most important part. So our listening gets better, our awareness of the swing, of the articulations get better, and our listening to the others gets better. So you will feel better and better and better every time you play with your band. You will hear and you will feel that you can recognize things. If the pianist likes to substitute a certain chord, you will hear that, maybe on the minor chord this guy loves to play the major sixth, and you will recognize the sound of it. And then all those informations will come to you as a clear piece of information. It won't be something that you have no idea and you need a chart for it. You will get exactly what's going on by just listening. And that's the best thing that can happen to you if you are a jazz player, but if you are a musician overall, right? So I hope you enjoyed this end of the year, of the first year of the Jazz Transcription Clinic Podcast celebration. And again, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It keeps motivating, it keeps me up to produce more content. And I'm really happy that I spent this last year with great people, with a lot of you. A lot of you have commented on my channel, and I always try to reply. And this is, the beautiful music style that we can learn, right? And I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.